Welcome to the Straight from the Source's Mouth podcast. Frank talk about sex and dating.
Hello, Tamara here. Welcome to the show. Today's guest is Kanika Vasudeva, an energy coach and Akashic Records reader. And we'll be talking about how these apply to our sex lives. Thanks for joining me, Kanika.
Thank you so much for having me here, Tamara. I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. I have not heard of this Akashic readers or energy healing. I've heard of energy healing a bit, but I think this is a different take. So I'm excited to hear what you have to share about it.
Yeah, so Akashic Records are like the mystical library that actually surround all of Earth, and they have information about all of us, like all the information in this lifetime and information in the past lifetimes, all our connections, everything. So whether it's energy healing or anything else, people are always pulling up information from the Akashic Records because that's the central library. Unknown to them.
Yeah. I've never heard of it called like quite like that. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like that's what they say. Some people say that, you know, like, is it fate or is it free will and all that stuff? Or, you know, like, is it kind of like that or is it a little different than those two areas?
I love the question, and I think you're hitting the ground running. Yes, so we are co-creators. We have free will, but there's also destiny and there's also universal flow at place. Maybe I'll start by talking a little bit about myself and the work that I do now. I never wanted to do this. You know, I grew up as an engineer, then I became an MBA professional. I was a project manager working for really large corporations, doing projects, multi-million-dollar projects around the globe. And energy coaching or tuning into Akashic Records is really never what I had in mind. I think I was somewhere in my mid-30s. So that time my Facebook life looked really good. My LinkedIn life looked good. If you would look at it, you would see, you know, great stuff that was going on. Except that inside I was feeling really empty. I wasn't in the happiest marriage. And I was a mom to a 2.5-year-old almost. I was trying to understand my space there because there were just things happening and I was understanding my identity. I think this happens a lot with women. When kids get born and suddenly your life gets turned, you're like, okay, who am I now? You've kids who need you a lot. You've got your family who needs you a lot. And you're like, well, I'm this new person, you know? I had associated my worth with my output, with my work, with my salary as well, and the accomplishments that I was making there. And so this was newfound territory. And I was also pregnant with my daughter at the time. And this was this weird juxtaposition going on with me at that time because I knew I was pregnant with a daughter, and as excited as I was to have her, I was also reflecting at my own life and thinking, gosh, I'm not happy. I've done the so-called right things, and I'm not really happy with my life. And what am I going to give to her? How is she going to be happy? And then one day I woke up. I just never felt her move in my tummy, in my belly, and went to the doctor, realized that there was no heartbeat. I had to give birth to a stillborn. And that was a terrible moment. That was also a very graceful moment. Because before this, whatever was happening in my life, I could numb it. I could pack it away and not look at it. Now it was very different. I was with her. I had her in me, and then I didn't have her. The house reminded me of her things because we were preparing for her arrival. The bassinet was there. The nursery room was there. Everything because she was 31 weeks. And I was suffering with guilt and shame that I had not connected with her as much. I also wanted to know as a mom whether she was okay or not. I really wanted to find out what happened and why she didn't come into life. So that started my whole journey into energy healing. It wasn't a conscious choice, but I'm giving this example in the sense that we all have certain destiny points. So yes, there's a co-creator in us in the sense that every single moment we can do whatever we want to do. And based on that, the next life steps will show up. But if I have a destiny, the reason why I took birth came as a soul in this physical body, then there was a purpose that set out. And my soul is going to try and do that again and again, bring me back to that, keep bringing me to this lesson. So for me, it was, yes, I got into energy healing. I got into Akashic Records then and understood or started understanding my relationship, how I'm a much smaller piece, how there's a much bigger piece around the universe, destiny as well. That all started making sense. And by the way, with my daughter, when I connected with her and I asked her, why did you not come into my life? And she said, well, you told me that you did not want to waste this lifetime. So I actually had an agreement with her that if I was wasting this lifetime, that she would come and she would wake me up, which she did. So it sounds like a really terrible moment, but it actually was, I think, life's biggest moment of grace. And that's what I'd like to leave the listeners with as well, that wherever you feel that your life's really hard, that you just cannot go through it, I want to tell you, because I've seen this over and over with all my clients as well, that this is where light wants to enter through you. You're not being punished. You're being loved because you're being driven to your higher purpose. You're driven to your destiny. Now it's up to you whether you take the first knock, like, life is telling me, hey, there's something wrong. I was feeling unhappy. So life will give you those signs, and then life will just make it a little bit bigger and bigger to make sure that you go on your destiny.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Oprah talks about that too. Like first it's like a whisper, and then a knock upside the head, and then a brick wall. She, each time it gets a little more like obvious where you really are supposed to listen. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's what happens. A lot of times the coincidences or the little things that we're thinking, that is just life's way of telling you that, hey, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. Often the disalignment that we feel, the disengagement, and we start getting used to it. And I would encourage you not to get used to it because that is where light's trying to come in. Also, if you don't listen to what you're really supposed to do, like in some sense you are compromising, you are accepting a relationship because it's not too bad, it's a little bit bad. You're not doing your soul's calling because it's sort of okay to continue on with your job even though it's not inspiring. Take the baby steps that you're supposed to take, because if it's on your path, if that is what your soul's decided to do, that needs to happen. Whether in this lifetime, whether in another lifetime, it doesn't go away.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that related, but I was always felt drawn to doing stand-up comedy, and I was doing it before I started my podcast. I was like, it was scared me to death, but I couldn't ever stop from thinking about doing it. And I did it for 3 years, and now I feel like I did it like I said I would, and I did it, and now I've transitioned to the podcast, and then we'll see what's next. But yeah, so I mean, maybe not as.
And that's a good story of courage. People don't go out and do things like that. They don't really follow the music in their heart, but you really should. There's nothing like, well, you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s and you can't do this. Actually, give yourself the example, give yourself the liberty to do that. Don't waste life. There is a lot of competition to come to life as souls, to be born here, to come here. There's a lot of preparation that goes on. Don't waste this. And also give people around you an example. We always feel there's the sabotage inner person in us. Mm-hmm. There's also sometimes a child that wants to feel just safe, just loved, taken care of. So we are not wanting to ruffle the feathers, so to speak. How things are, we want to keep them the way they are.
Yeah.
But if everybody did that, humanity would just not evolve. You came here with your unique mix of your light, your gifts, your talent, your exploration, your ideas. Bring them out, share them in the world. That's how you make humanity a better place. That's how you inspire other people to do their dreams as well. So I'm really, really proud of you that you went and you did your stand-up comedy because you've inspired others. You've inspired your family, at least. You've inspired people who've seen you, that you can go out there and you can do what your heart calls you to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I had lots of friends watch on YouTube too, as I posted it. So yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, I definitely, and even this podcast too. Like I agree wholeheartedly that everyone has something that they're thinking about or really secretly want to do. And like you said, they should just get out there and take the baby steps to do towards that.
I think we're afraid that we feel there's no plan. We feel like, oh, this is what I want to do, but I don't really know the next steps. But the idea is you're not supposed to know the next steps. And here's the thing. We think, including myself, long time ago, I used to think that I'm the person in charge of my life. With my daughter, she wasn't even born. I was planning out things for her, as an example. I was planning out her clothes. I was planning out her room. Because I, being the project manager, I was managing, looking after the situation. We're not the drivers. We're the co-drivers. We're the co-creators. Universe has a plan. And that is the bigger flow. Like if I think of myself and my size, I'm a teeny and maybe even smaller than that compared to the whole universe. And yet I'm putting all the controls in place. Or I'm saying, well, I need to see the next road before I take that step because it sounds outrageous in the human minds. But if we would just allow that connection, if we could just tune into the universe and trust that it's looking after us, that there is a plan, that we will be held, things start becoming a lot easier. Often we want to see, and your real gifts, the real shine that you're supposed to have, they will be a little bit outrageous. When you share them with people, they will be like, what are you talking about? Nobody's going to back you for this. The first time when you went out and you said, oh, I'm going to do my stand-up comedy, somebody would have said, are you out of your mind?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hi, everyone. Sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to point out that there is a send us a text message at the very beginning of the description, and you can use that to send an anonymous question or comment. So I'd really appreciate it. All right. Thanks. Yeah, I definitely had people like afraid for me kind of thing.
Because it sounds so unfeasible to them in the human mind. But when we let go of that, when we let go, I would say it's a fact that we are just human beings. We are souls in bodies. So if we let go of controlling with our little human mind that I've got to control the outcome, if we surrender, we'll find that life's a lot bigger. Sometimes we act like little kids. So when you've got a child, maybe 2 years old, and you're taking them out of the playground, and the child doesn't want to come out, and he screams and throws a tantrum because it's like the end of the world, and maybe the playground's never going to happen again. And of course, as a parent or a caretaker, you know that you will bring them back to the playground. It's not the end of the world. But we act like that all the time with the universe. The universe shows us some signs, tells us this is what you were supposed to do, and we're like, no. And then the funny bit, we still end up blaming the universe or life, whatever term we want to put to it. We still end up blaming that because you're not giving me the right steps. I'm asking you for guidance. You're not showing me. And the universe is going like, I am showing you. I am giving you the inspiration. Take the step.
Yeah, definitely. And since this is a podcast about dating and relationships, I'm guessing you would imagine this goes into the same thing, like picking partners and being with people. Like, do you think it's a fate, destiny kind of thing for people you end up with, or a plan like that? Or is that more, would you say it falls under the same thing?
I think we are co-creators, especially our key relationships. That would be our mom, our dad, That would be the people we meet sexually as well, or our main relationships at least. They are all pre-agreed. Soul contracts, we all have them. Before we come in, we choose our parents and we choose them for things that we want to learn and evolve and grow with. So they're carefully chosen. Our key relationships, they're all carefully chosen as well. But having said that, we are co-creators. So reason of all these contracts is that there's certain lessons we're supposed to learn. For example, in my case, it has been this journey of really understanding myself, owning my truth, and then speaking my truth a lot more. So I've had parents who've brought that out for me. I've had relationships repeatedly who've brought that out for me. And I was very much a people pleaser. Without even knowing it, I think it still runs in some very deep level of me where I just change myself. I become so flexible and change according to the other person. And because my sole purpose is to get more aware of myself, that's why the relationships bring that out, that often the more I become flexible, it's like, well, actually, you were not supposed to do that. You were supposed to stay in your truth. Same way, we'll all have certain lessons that we're all supposed to learn. So your relationships will follow whatever you're supposed to learn. Some lessons, if you've really learned them, then the contracts that you would have with relationships, let's say if you're having maybe, as an example, a toxic relationship, and if you're supposed to have that so that you can understand a lot more about betrayal and then coming back to your center. But if you've already started understanding that, then the next levels of that, they are nullified. Let me explain it this way. How it works is you're supposed to go, as an example, from a level 1 to a level 100 in certain lesson. And let's say you start at 1, the soul will meet you at 1, it will give you opportunities at 1, and it's not like the physical world where we just have plan A, plan B, plan C. The universe has lots of plans there, depending on where you're vibrating and what you're learning, and it gives you opportunities based on that. Now let's say you go all the way from 1 to 5. So in between all that 2 to 4, you don't have to do that anymore. Now you're at 5, and it will meet you there. So all our soul contracts, all our relationships, they're written in that sense, but we might bypass some things. Also, some of these contracts, some of the relationships that we have, they might be based on certain old programming or old karmas. Doesn't mean they can be not rewritten, but sometimes they can be operating out of old things. So examples here would be, let's say a mom who for one reason had a miscarriage, and then she's really afraid of just childbirth because of how things transpired for her, and she might still be carrying that memory into her. If you have lied in a particular lifetime around something, maybe lied about something really major with your husband or so on, you might still be carrying that impact, bringing that into this lifetime. But if you learn those truths, if you understand that the miscarriage was at that time, you break the contract, then that lady, and I've seen that, where my client just became okay. Initially, there was a point where whenever anyone talked about having babies, there was something in her body that just froze. Whereas after the reading, it was like unhealing. It was okay. Like, okay, now I can think about babies, because initially she was thinking of babies and her body was freezing because it was remembering the passing away. It was remembering the pain with that. So that had been eased, cleaned, and the body just has a new operating system. For the lady who'd spoken lies about certain really important things, when she moved and when she understood that, oh, she's supposed to speak more with her truth, then the world opened up for her as well. And she started getting more opportunities, etc. So our contracts are written at a particular time, but when you clean them, they change your relationships. If you're attracting toxic relationships, and you've got to ask this, right? In the physical world, yes, person A was at fault because there was something wrong with them. Person B was at fault. There was something wrong with them. Person C was at fault. That's fine. I hear you. I totally get it. I've been that person. But at one stage, you've got to ask, well, why are they all with you? Why did you get them in the first place?
Yeah.
What's running on inside you? When I looked at that, for me, there was a lot of healing that I wanted to do, I needed to do inside me. Often, if you're attracting toxic relationships, look at what is your pattern and start with, well, what am I not learning here? Because that's the whole point. Your soul's just trying to get you to learn something. What are you not learning? Are you not standing up for yourself? Are you not seeing the signs? What is it? And tune into that, not running away from it, but tuning into it more. And then once you've cleared the patterns, you'll notice that your relationships show up in a lot different way as well.
Yeah, definitely believe that. I've told other people, but yeah, like there was a 10-year period where there's 3 different, I call them the drunks, in varying stages of like alcoholic or functional alcoholic, as one liked to call himself. But yeah, and then I dated for the first time for a few years, and then now I'm like with someone that's much better, like nicer and all the good things. But yeah, after taking a break.
And that's because you worked on yourself.
Yeah, I took a 6-month break.
And that's because you've cleansed, you've come from that really whole place.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with what you're saying. I can see where, and it's good to know that you can learn it and you don't have to keep learning it. Like once you've crossed that, check that box, like, okay, I understand this now. I don't have to get that lesson anymore.
In about 7 years, all the cells in our body, they would have regenerated, they would have become new cells. Yeah. So we are constantly re-evolving, we are constantly growing. Hence, that is an opportunity to consider that we can let go and we can really change our lives. Whatever you are brought into, whatever paradigms you're brought into, especially you've talked about abuse, whether that is alcohol, whether that is other sorts of abuse. If you're coming to that, your past does not have to dictate your future. You have the free will. You always have the free will to break away from that, but you've really got to claim it, own it, and go like, okay, I am changing my story. And again, coming back to the connection, when you actually connect with the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call the divine, when you connect with that connection and when you really call in that intent very strongly and say, this is where I want to stand in and help me break the cycle of abuse, help me break the cycle of alcoholism, whatever it is that is struggling, that is paining you in this lifetime, even if it is hard work, even if it is repetitive chores, do that and you will notice that you will get that help. But first ask that and claim it for yourself, because that is your free will. We have free will in the sense that whatever we want to do in our life, we can. We can still make whatever choices the source gives to us. We can still choose whatever I want to do. So it is still our playground. And it is up to you to claim, okay, I don't want those limits anymore. I'm not going to operate out of my old story.
Yeah. I've had other guests before. It's just you get kind of stuck because it's like comfortable enough. So you just stay there and you don't even know there's something better because you're like, it's good enough kind of thing. So yeah. And then
it's the disalignment that we've got to really understand. That, when you're feeling disaligned, when you're feeling unhappy, there is something wrong. At a vast human scale, there is an agreement that, as we get older, as we get in the 30s, as we get in the 40s, as we get in the 50s, the happiness in life is supposed to go down. And if that's happening for you, I want you to go out and just watch some kids. Even if you don't have them in your house, go to a playground, just watch kids playing, just watch kids doing things. This is how you came in. They know how to be happy. They'll be happy looking at a stone. They'll be happy climbing on slides. They will actually not run out of ideas. They will speak so much, which is why parents will often say, he doesn't stop. But you came with that. You came with that zeal of life. You came with that curiosity, that creativity. Where did all of that go? If that life force has stopped in you, and that's very much a sacral thing, so that's very much the second chakra, the chakra around sex, emotions, that's because you've bottled up your emotions, you've bottled up stuff that's in there and you've not let it out. You have, instead of it being a healthy, functioning chakra, it's become that place which is just smelly and not feeling good at all. Your sacral chakra is the center of sex. At the same time, sex is, we think of it as just sex. Whereas sex is how life starts. It's creativity. It is making everything in the universe. Every baby is a miracle. So every time when you get into that act, it can be thought of as sex. It can just be really tinied into that definition, but it's a lot more expansive and a lot more conscious vibration if you allow that to be as well. So when you really tapped in to your second chakra, that time you're really tuned in into the flow, natural flow of the universe. You really know what's going to happen. You're in alignment. Your creative juices, they're all flowing out, because this center is not just about birthing babies. It's also about birthing new ideas, projects, everything that you want to do in life. That all starts here. The birthplace is here. And our human bodies, female human bodies, they have the uterus, they have the whole reproductive organs to be able to make a baby, but the same place is also connected with the breath, with the rhythm, with the birthplace of the universe. I think of the womb not as just the womb, but it's also the womb portal of the universe. Think of the womb as such. You'll see it's dark when you think about it. It's a nice dark place. And now look at any pictures that you would have seen of space. And you would see the stars, the brightest of stars. And they are held in that shimmery, darkish purple place. That is void. That is the birthplace where all the stars, where all the galaxies, everything in the universe and all the multi-universes, they all get born in that place. And this is where your womb, especially for females, obviously, that's connected to. So your womb, your place is a lot more sacred. And hence, whatever happens in our lives sexually can either feel really violating at a deeply personal level, or it can feel really liberating. Again, it's not small. Everything that we feel is really magnified here, because this is a potential force that you're connecting to.
Yeah, I've never heard it quite that way, but yeah, I like the sexual healing. I know you talk about that a little bit with like old emotional patterns, and the chakra, I'm guessing, is part of that, or is explain more about that.
Okay, around the emotional healing or around the sexual healing, clients will come with sometimes the addiction issues that they have, or they'll feel some sort of sexual chemistry incompatibility with their partners. And that's a symptom. Your body is always talking to you. Your body is always going to give you signals that this is not happening. Like you might feel thirsty, you might feel pain in some area, you will feel, this is not going well. So that's how the body is talking, when you are interacting with someone else, especially in something as deeply intimate as sexual intercourse, or just even whatever you're doing in bed, even if you're not really going to the full rhythms, but it's a very intimate moment. Lots of things are happening there. But before I go on to the second chakra, which is the center for all of that, let's start with the root chakra. Root chakra is just a little bit above, or it's the tailbone, so it's right where you're sitting. It's the tip of the tailbone. Root chakra is where we're all coming out from. This is our center of belonging. This is whether we feel okay or not. And I'm talking about the root chakra because as we go up in the body, wherever you need to feel a connection, it needs to, if you want to feel complete in that connection at that level, you'll first need to also feel complete in the connections at the level below. So if you're wanting to feel really good with someone sexually, it has to start with you also feeling good with them physically. In the first chakra is around belonging. So how do you feel with the person? Do you feel seen, heard? Think of it in terms of the roots. The tree needs roots to feel stable, to feel like you are okay. So do you feel like you can just be them? You're not judged because of how your body looks, how big your bank account is, and so on, but you can just be. So often, if you're feeling that, oh, I'm not able to do it with someone else, start with yourself first. Start with being comfortable in your own body. Start with just looking at yourself in the mirror and complimenting yourself, acknowledging your body. Start by becoming your best friend, not criticizing yourself in your self-talks that you got late for something, that you didn't do something right, but just start by bringing that belonging to yourself. Once you start that, then you go on to the next place, which is the second chakra. This would be the sexual chakra. This is also the place of emotion. This is also the place of creativity. Then it is very, very deeply personal. It's very deep within all of us. This is where life starts for all of us. This is where we were conceived. This is where all our juice of life lives, whatever we're going to do in life. So it's a very intimate space. Even before it gets physical with anyone else, it's just a very, very intimate space. So to be here, you want to feel comfortable in terms of expressing your emotions. You want to feel comfortable in just being how you are. And I would say start with yourself, because often we start looking at everything the opposite way. We put the onus on someone else. Do they love me? Do they like me? Does he appreciate me or does she appreciate me? But start first with yourself. You're aligning with the universe, right? That's the main rhythm of everything. You're aligning with the universal flow. So start by loving yourself. Start by validating your own emotions. Start by understanding that. That's your inner compass. So that no matter who you are with, you are still looking and hearing what they're saying, but you've got your inner compass to understand, well, they said I was too loud, but was I okay or not? Your inner compass, your inner knowingness should be a lot deeper than that. Otherwise, you're going to start feeling hurt. Does that make sense? Do you have questions here?
Yeah, I know. I think I get it. Yeah,
okay.
No, I mean, it's definitely a known thing to internal. So you're the one that's connected, obviously. So you know yourself best, and you don't have to agree with what others say or think about you.
Yeah, I have this funny story that they used to tell us sometimes when I was growing up. There was this guy long time ago in a village, and he had a donkey. And so the donkey was not doing really well, but he's taking him somewhere. And then as he's walking with the donkey, some people started laughing at him that, come on, this guy's got a donkey and, he's not sitting on top of the donkey. What an idiot he is, because he's walking next to the donkey. So he said, okay, I'll sit next to the donkey. on the donkey. So he sat on the donkey and he's walking. And now some people, they're looking at him and they're like, doesn't this person understand? The donkey is not doing well and yet he's sitting on top of him. So then he gets down and and he ends up, the story is just hilarious, but it's just supposed to make us understand how we can just never be right if we continue looking at everyone outside and continue trying to do what they want us to do, because they're different people. They have different perspectives. Like this guy ends up carrying the donkey, like holding him across his shoulders and carrying him like that, and does all sorts of things. But there's nothing that he would do that was ever right.
Yeah. As soon as he heard someone say something, he had to fix it. Try to do the next thing. Yeah.
But it happens a lot with all of us as well, where we look at someone else, we see, hey, this is what you did not do. And it really brings us that, oh, I did not do that. We become the biggest criticizer. And hence I'm saying just look at yourself and recalibrate and go like, well, I am okay. Because often their voice is a reflection of your inner voice in you. And our inner critiques would be, sometimes you'd hear your mom saying something, sometimes you hear your dad saying something, your teachers. But look at those voices, heal those voices. Don't run away from that, but heal those inner parts of you. A lot of times when you start doing this work, maybe you're the criticizing person. When you start loving those parts in you, then the shift really happens. And it's very quick as well. It's very interesting as well. Like I looked at one person, and when we were looking at why his life was usually very dramatic, things would just keep happening in his life. Sometimes a fence would fall down. Sometimes there would be something with the ex. Like it was just dramatic, as in a movie, just dramatic. And he was like, why is it so dramatic? And I looked at his inner part, and part of it was that he had this inner warrior. So there was a previous lifetime where he'd been a warrior. He'd gone out and he'd done a lot of things. And his victories were always celebrated, because where other people could not go, he could go there and he could conquer those lands. That part still stayed in him, and he still wanted those laurels. He still wanted those medals. So there was still this part which was bringing to reality all the drama in his life, because that part would feel, oh, okay, now I've won. Now I've done this. But that's part of you. That's your energy that's acting out like that. Once you go and heal that bit, so when we worked with him, we healed the inner warrior, not shoving it away, but just holding it and telling it that, look, this is this lifetime, this is how I want it to be, and giving them something else to do. So your inner sabotage person, your inner child, your inner victim, your inner perpetrator, sometimes when we are trying to control someone, all different inner archetypes of us, you can always give them different tasks to do if something's not serving you well. Like in this case, this warrior, he loved to celebrate. So we said, well, why don't you look out opportunities for us where we would like to grow, where we would like to expand? And we gave this part that job. If you feel like you have an internal voice in you that is always sabotaging you, telling you why you cannot do comedy, why you cannot do your podcast, why you cannot write your book, why you cannot do the project that you want to do, talk to that part, heal that part, bring that to yourself and say, well, why don't you show me how I can do this? Tell me skills where I will be good. Talk to them instead of running away from them. Talk to them, connect with that part of yourself.
Yeah, I like that. I am one of those people that has the sabotage thing going on. So very relevant. So you've mentioned working with people. Do you want to talk how people can reach you to work with you, or like how to your website or whatever you want to share, social media?
Yes, absolutely. So I am Kanika Energy Coach. Kanika is Kanika. You can find me on Instagram at Kanika Energy Coach. You can find me on LinkedIn at Kanika Energy Coach. And I'm always happy to answer questions. If you come to my website, artoflifecenter.com/call, that's where you can book a clarity call with me, because whenever I work with a client, I don't just start like you come into a program or you do this. I always like to see where you are at, what's really going on in your life, and then offer you suggestions. That way I'll meet you where you are at. So in this call, we'll talk about what's really going on behind the scenes for you with whatever is happening in your relationship, in your personal life. And I love helping people expand into more visibility, expand into more authentic relationships, become more visible with their businesses, get the next promotion, like whatever that expansion means to you. I love helping you on that journey. So you can find me at artoflifecenter.com/call. Yeah. And then there are lots of freebies on the website as well. There's one around soul contracts as well, if people are interested. Yeah, I'll let you explore.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. And then do you have any like final thoughts or kind of closing comments now that we know how to reach you?
Yeah, thank you. I usually just tune into the group of people who are going to listen to it and just see what is something that they would like to hear that we haven't really shared in this episode so far. Okay, a bigger question that's coming up is that we've talked around the healing. We've talked that this is what you can do. And they're like, well, I'm feeling stuck and I don't really know what to do to feel peaceful. And where do I start? What is the practical thing that I can do to get there? All right, so I'm just going to give you a little hack. If you're driving, I'd ask you to maybe just stop driving or pull your car over, but just take a few minutes to be and settle yourself in a place where your active consciousness is not required, where you can close your eyes. And then as you sit down, you settle in, just take a nice deep breath. Let it really go into your space. And exhale out. And then take another breath, deeper breath. And in this breath, I want you to connect with the universe around you. Like feel that there is this universe, the divine, the source around you. Just breathe that consciousness into you. Bring it in. This is your guidance. This is your love. This is your support. This is your inner compass. This is all that you seek. This is your truth. This is your light. So bring it in because it wants to come to you. Bring it in. And let it push out all the heaviness and all the debris that keeps you stuck. Just let more and more light in. And now out here in this space, just in front of your mind's eye, I want you to ask, what is my next step? What am I supposed to do? And I know you've got a question. I know there's something you're seeking an answer to. And ask them to show you that if you do this, what happens? Like, is the yes stronger for you? Is the no stronger for you? You'll notice there's one light that's glowing. So you ask your question, can I do this? Is this what I should do? See the yes, see the no. See which one lights up for you. And maybe this is the answer that you wanted. Maybe this is not the answer that you wanted. And that's okay. Now step into the yes, just to see what it feels like, how your body feels like. And you can come out. And imagine you're getting a little cleansing Maybe there's a shower there that just cleans you. And now walk into the no bit, the no door. And just see what that feels like. And then come out. And so whatever question you had in your mind, whether you should go a certain way, whether you should not go a certain way, now you have a lot more clear guidance around that. And I wish you the courage. I pass you love and light to be able to live with that, to be able to honor your truest purpose. Just soak in more of the breath, soak in more of the consciousness. Really let it filter through you, especially if your answer is something that you didn't want to hear. Just soak in more of that goodness, more of the truth, more of the light. Bring that into you, because that brings the courage, that brings the guidance, that brings all the support that you need. Bring that into you. Don't disconnect yourself from truth and light. Connect yourself to truth and light. Bring it in. And if you need more support, you tell them that, hey, I need more support. I need you to flow a lot more through me. And so it is. So it is. So anytime when you need an energy top up, this is what you do, and this is how you go on your path. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. Okay. So that was something really quick. I couldn't do it as long because I really hadn't set up the scene for a meditation. But if you're wanting to have more guided meditations, I've got full guided meditations on my website. They can be found at artoflifecenter.com/free. That is where you'll find a lot of my freebies, and underneath you'll find all the guided meditations there as well. Based on whatever you're seeking, there are meditations on getting over toxic relationships, on just moving on, healing your relationships with your mom and dad, because they can be the founding blocks of how you're attracting other people into your life as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And be sure to check out her website and her social media handles. And if you love this episode, be sure to tell your friends about it and rate it as well. And thank you for joining me, Kanika.
Thanks a lot, Tamara. It's been such a pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks, everyone. All right. See you next time, or talk to you next time. All right. Bye.
Frank Talk, sex and dating educates.